Hello everyone, welcome back to Between the Oaks, where we bring you interviews with some of the most interesting and important people here at Elon. And we've got one of those for you here today. We've got Kirsten Carrier. She is the new Assistant Dean of Campus Life and Director of Residence Life here at Elon. So Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, thank you, and thanks for getting the title right.
I had to make sure I had to read it again. And those of you who have been watching our videos will know we've got some nice new chairs here. We're really trying to step our game up here for our awesome guests. So Kirsten, first thing I want to talk to you about is you came to Elon from Pitzer College in California. Mm-hmm. So tell everybody, what was it about Elon that inspired a cross-country move? I mean, that's a big jump to go from California to North Carolina.
It sure is, yeah. Not only for me, but for my family as well. Well, let me say that Elon's shown, that's for sure. From the first moment I started looking for kind of what was the next position, looking for something a little bit bigger than what I was doing. Pitzer is also a small private institution, but their version of small is 1,200 students, so much smaller than Elon. And I was looking for a vibrant residential community that had a lot of student interaction, but also had kind of a tight-knit community feel. So something that was bigger, but still had that small school feel. And Elon, hit it on the head with so many of the interactions I had on campus with our student body as well. And I mean, the campus generally, I could tell that the residential part of the residential campus was really core to a lot of the work and the mission of the institution. And that was something that is very unique within higher education, to see residence halls, residence life being premiered in that kind of way. So it definitely attracted me to the institution. Lucky for me, my husband is a huge UNC fan, so that did not hurt either, having some basketball rivals down the road from us. Yep. I'm not originally from this area, so it was a wonderful chance to get to know a new part of the country in a brand new institution. So, and I will say that most of what I have looked for has come true, with a great group of students to work with, a great group of staff as well, and kind of just getting to know what it looks like on the other side of the country.
Right, awesome, yeah. Very good. So I want to hit on something that you just talked about, the residential part of campus and how important that is. Why is that so, or why was that so important, not only to you, but why do you think that's so important for a university, and for, how does that make it different than a school that doesn't emphasize that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of institutions, a lot of universities talk about housing and residence life as an essential part of college life, but it is that. It's a basic need, it's a bed to sleep in, it's meals to eat, and that's it. And so the opportunity to work at an institution that really sees it as part of the learning experience, as part of the co-curricular activities. This is not the place where you just go to sleep at night. You're interacting with your roommates, your suite mates, your RA down the hallway. You're hopefully engaging with faculty in a way that's outside the classroom in a different, more casual way. There's tons of research that goes to show that a lot of what our students are learning on campus, happens in a classroom, but also in those casual networking interactions outside, and that those are some of the most impactful relationships students will walk away with. And so again, seeing that Elon is the leader in living and learning in the country, and there's obviously wonderful living and learning communities on campus, as well as just a huge commitment to that being a focus of the institution. It's not only what happens in the classroom, it's what happens afterwards as well, and at all times of the day. So I was really attracted to something that I work in, residence life, and supporting the staff and the students in the residence halls, seeing that would be something that's valued at the highest level. The president is talking about the residential campus initiatives being something that is a group effort and not a solo effort just of one department.
Sure. So those living and learning and that sort of thing, what is your role in that, your specific job, and how do you kind of help support that going on campus?
Definitely. So as the Assistant Dean of Campus Life, I work with our AVP of Campus Life, as well as the Director of Residential and Academic Partnerships. The three of us really partner with folks over in our Dean of Faculty's area, our academic affairs, to recruit the faculty that are going to be serving as faculty directors and faculty in residence. And those folks work directly with our live-in staff, so our community directors that live in the residence halls. So I supervise the live-in staff that are there, 24 hours a day, living and breathing with our students, helping them stay connected and making sure they're safe and well as well. And those community directors get to partner with a faculty director, and that partnership is very unique to Elon. A lot of times you'll see one faculty, sprinkled throughout campus, but we have that partnership built in and baked into this relationship, which is amazing. And so again, get to work with our faculty, get to work with bridging to our staff, to kind of the day-to-day, the programmatic experience. And then we also have our living and learning communities, and those have advisors. And those advisors may be faculty members that are interested in that subject or work in that school, or they may be staff as well. And so again, helping to kind of create what our living and learning communities are each year. We have many that are long-standing and that kind of roll over from year to year. We always encourage new applications, new ideas, kind of what do folks want to see as far as a thematic living area. And those folks have syllabus of the learning and the programs that they're going to want to host throughout the year. And so again, I get to support the staff that are putting together both of those initiatives, our kind of neighborhood plans with our faculty directors and those living and learning communities as well.
Gotcha. So again, most of the people that are watching at home are current parents. Let's say that you're a first-year parent watching at home, and I didn't even know any of this was happening. Like, what sort of options are there for as their students think about where do they want to live, second, third, fourth year, that sort of thing? What sort of options? I know there's a lot, but what are some examples of options of living that are kind of different than a traditional dorm?
Sure, yeah. So in your first year, right, we place you into residence halls, and your students are going to be, living where we put them in our first year communities. Many of them may be in LLCs, and there's an opportunity to return to that same LLC, and that's, opportunities to serve as a mentor to incoming first year students that also want to live there. But you also have a chance to form your own roommate groups and really create how you want to be living in the next year. Maybe that's with your current roommate, because that's been a really great relationship. Maybe it's with folks down the hall or folks from a sports team or a club. And so as you advance beyond the first year, and again with that 2-year residency requirement that we do have, all of our sophomores do continue to live with us, and they get to create their communities. And whether that's a group of 8 maybe living in a Danieli flat. Again, Danieli's just on the edge of campus next to a beautiful lake. Love the Danieli community. And maybe that's a group of 8 you want to get together. Maybe it's a smaller group in an Oaks apartment and have an apartment style with a longer lease year. So you really want to start talking with your student kind of about that next step, because our housing selection process for upper class students, folks that are beyond their first year, does kick off in December. We typically start with application processes, and when we come back from the from our January term and for spring semesters, when we really dig into actually selecting those spaces and making those roommate groups. So a great opportunity to start talking with your student about kind of what are they looking for in a next step. And you might think, really, it's only October. Is this really what we need to start doing right now? But it does creep up fast, and students start making those connections. So really important to talk to your student about that next step.
Yeah. So how many, just for everybody's knowledge, how many students live on campus now?
Sure. So we have 4,100 bed spaces on campus, and that's typically how many students we have. We always have, some wiggle room because we have roommate conflicts we maybe want to take care of, and facilities issues here and there. So we always leave ourselves some wiggle room, but that many.
So 41. And is that where, as a university, is that where we want to stay? Are we trying to grow that number? How does that fit into big long-term plans?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to your very first question of why I chose to come to Elon. I saw an institution that was not only very strong in its residential component, but looking to grow. Adding at least 1,200 more bed spaces in the coming 5 or 10 years. So the opportunity to construct what those look like and to kind of see what's going on our campus. What do we like about our current residence halls? What do we wish we could really do differently, and kind of build those from the ground up? And so, our next building is coming online in fall 2024, so it's coming soon. It's the end of our East neighborhood. We have the East Commons building with 90 new first-year beds coming online, double-loaded corridor with double rooms, so a very traditional residence hall feel, but some great new common spaces in there, a wonderful East neighborhood office. They finally get their own office for that area. And so that's the first of hopefully more plans that are coming, and I know that our campus master plan that was completed a few years back now does have those more residential complexes coming up. Again, a lot of residence hall stock, not necessarily apartments. We do have a lot of apartments on campus already, and those will be in the footprint kind of between the Colonnades neighborhood and the Danieli neighborhood, and then some kind of Danieli adjacent. And so some folks might feel like Danieli's like so far on the edge of campus, but Francis Center is even further, and we've got rec centers right there, and we've got students living in the Crest. And so these new communities will kind of bridge the heart of campus to that other edge of campus really nicely.
Yeah, so and I'm sure a lot of the interaction and we were kind of joking about this before we started film, like the interaction that you and your office has with parents is kind of more of the day-to-day nitty-gritty, like students having issues with, something in their dorm not working, maybe like you mentioned roommate issues, that sort of thing. How can parents, I guess, get in touch with your office? What's the best way if a student's having an issue and they're having trouble solving it on their own? What should a parent do, from a distance? I'm sure they have that helpless feeling and want to talk to somebody. What's the best way to address that?
I appreciate the question so much because we do get a lot of outreach from families and from parents, and we definitely welcome it. We know that parents are partners in this journey for sure, and especially as you're sending a student off to college, and this is where they're living. This is hopefully where they're getting good rest and eating good food and able to participate fully in the whole Elon experience. We know how pivotal and how important that is. What I would really encourage families and parents to do as much as possible is to get information that might be talking to other parents who have sent folks to college before, might be talking, looking at our websites, absorbing information. Maybe it's talking to other current Elon parents to try to get some of those questions answered, and then giving your students some advice on how to navigate next steps, not necessarily navigating those next steps for them. And sometimes that might mean you're encountering a really specific scenario that you can't find information on, and you really do need some good advice. And that's definitely okay to reach out. We have neighborhood offices, and that's, again, a unique model at Elon, that we have a lot of embedded staff within each neighborhood that's going to know a lot more about your specific student situation, have relationships with them already, have supported them through things. And so that, I always say, is a great first stop. So call into the neighborhood office, whether that's historic or Daniely or East, ask to speak with either the community director, the program assistant, and ask for their advice, and identify yourself. I'm a parent just trying to help give my students some good advice. Like, what would I advise them to do in this situation? So instead of saying, my student is having this problem and I need this to happen, we're not going to do that because you've requested it, because you're not our students, right? We need to be working with the student, empowering them to make those decisions. So although we might think what you're saying sounds great, I still can't take any action because I need to talk with your student directly. So again, it's a bit of a change. I know it's from high school to college, not navigating it for them, but absorbing information and empowering them. And sometimes I know there's extreme circumstances that they literally cannot navigate that next step. And I would definitely encourage partnering with our care and outreach office in the Division of Student Life, because those folks do deal with those more emergent scenarios and can provide a higher level of care that could help you with those next steps.
Gotcha. Very good. So we always like to introduce the people and kind of get to know you a little bit better. So did a little bit of homework. It sounds like you have lived in several places. Sure. Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, California, and now here. Am I missing any?
You missed one, Alaska.
Alaska?
Yeah, I spent a couple years there in middle school.
Wow. Yep. Okay. So tell everybody why North Carolina is the best of the places you've lived.
Oh, wow. Really put me on the spot there. I will say it is very refreshing, especially after spending a decade in California, in Southern California, where water is scarce and it is kind of all that's talked about a lot of days. It is wonderful coming to a place that is lush and green and has trees and we're watering the lawn freely and those kind of things. Like, there's so many things that you had to think about in Southern California to preserve water, to be eco-conscious, that although very important, it's just a different landscape here. And it's wonderful to walk on a campus that does feel, again, just so lush and green. I think we tore out all the grass at my past institution within the last couple of years, which is sad to see, but a reality of the area.
You understand why, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, last question, what's a place that you found in the last couple of months that you and your family like to go? It could be a place to eat or just kind of a spot locally on campus, anything. Like, what's a cool place that you found in and around Elon?
It's hard to put a finger on it. I had the opportunity to live on campus my first month here, so a place that I definitely hold dear is Lake Verona over by Daniely Center. My son is 4 years old and moved here, with us across the country. His first state, first big move, and just a huge deal for a kid. But we got to live right next to Lake Verona and Daniely for a month, and rolling out of bed to go fishing in the morning, to play frisbee golf around the lake. He still begs to come back to campus just because he thinks it just means he gets to fish in the lake and play frisbee and walk his dog, which he loves. So I would say it's here on campus.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully, those at home learned a lot. I think I did. It was great to get a chance to know you a little bit better. So thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody watching at home. We'll see you next time.